So just in St Gregory's Church in Lower Weir in Somerset, just entering Weir burial ground, and I got quite a shock. I was going to first of all take you to the grave of Dennis Hamer, and then I looked round and I couldn't find it. Absolutely bizarre, and it was definitely in a particular space. I think they can move people around because I was told that Frankie Howerd and Dennis Hamer were buried in the same grave at one point. That's what someone told me on the internet. I don't know if that's true. And then I noticed his grave was behind him. Now, I've just got quite a shock because I've looked at a grave of where it was here, and it's saying Christopher Brine. Oh, and it's saying Dennis Hamer as well. I didn't notice that before. Now that's really shocked me because I was chatting to Christopher Brine not long ago in the White Hart pub in Cross, and I didn't know he was dead. Last thing I heard, he had had a flat in Banwell Castle, a little flat. So it's quite bizarre this, because now someone bit my head off on YouTube. I'm no expert, I don't claim to be an expert, but I was saying, because the original headstone here said that Dennis Hamer, I don't know why they separated, because someone told me Dennis Hamer was buried with Frankie Howerd and then it was separated, so someone told me. I don't know if that's true, but it said on Dennis Hamer's original grave that he was then a civil partner with Chris Brine after the death of Frankie Howerd. Someone bit my head off on YouTube saying, get your facts right, knobhead. I hate that, makes my blood boil, because they thought I meant that Chris Brine was a civil partner with Frankie Howerd. So I think after the death of Frankie Howerd, Chris Brine and Dennis Hamer became civil partners. Now, don't quote me on that, I could be wrong. But yeah, so it looks like that shocked me. It looks like they're buried together with a fresh headstone. See, I didn't know Chris Brine was dead, and that's really shocked me. But yeah, I believe when Dennis and Frankie met in 1967, homosexuality was illegal up to 1967, so obviously it was a bit dicey. But that's Dennis Hamer and Chris Brine anyway, who were close friends with, well, you know, partners and whatnot, and friends with Frankie Howerd. Was he his manager as well, Dennis Hamer, at one point? Don't quote me on that. But that shocked me. I was only chatting with him a couple of years ago in a pub in Cross. I didn't even know he had died. So going to take you to the great man himself. Sorry if I'm waffling on a bit, but you know how it goes. This makes me laugh as well. I knew you could reserve graves in places like, reserve like tables and stuff in restaurants, but they've actually, people reserve graves down here. It's like someone have a carry-on film. Table for one, sir. Table for one. Let's take you to the great man himself. Absolutely brilliant, wasn't he? Absolutely one of the top ones. And it's quite sad. I came here a couple of days after his 100th birthday and there was virtually no flowers here. Now that seems to be a regular thing when I'm visiting famous people. The only difference seems to be Mark Boland is always covered in, well, on the anniversary of his death, is covered in flowers, photos, the works. But Frankie was as great as Mark, wasn't he? Without a doubt. And they both knew Cilla Black. So I'll keep this button for a bit and let you give you a little time with the great man himself. Ooh, matron! Up Pompeii, up Pompeii, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la, oh, up Pompeii, Madame. And what an absolute star he was. age 75. 1992, doesn't time fly? Nothing I need to tell you about this gentleman. I expect you know it all. One ghost I wouldn't mind seeing, I can tell you. What an absolute hero. And even he used to get criticised, you see, with letters. You just can't win, do you know what I mean? You don't need to appear in tap like this, people used to say. And he used to, you know, I think he used to write back to every one of them.
Oh, matron! A mere chit of a girl.
I always think of him in that, was it Carry On Doctor, where he's wearing those underwear and Hattie Jakes rips them off. I was at Hattie Jakes' house on Saturday. I think Frankie had a place nearby in Earl's Court as well, I think. So I believe that he's buried in a Egyptian-style coffin down below. I bet he's got a smile on his face, hasn't he? And his wig's buried, I believe, at the cottage, I think.